Welcome to everyone, to all participants of our webinar, The Potential for Energy Efficiency Services in the Journey to Net Zero. I hope everyone can hear me well, and everyone can also see me through my camera. My name is Clemens Leutgeb. I'm Managing Director of E7 Energy Innovation and Engineering, a consultancy firm situated in Vienna, Austria. I'm very happy and to a certain degree also proud that we now organize this webinar, which is part of an Horizon 2020 project called QualitEE. And over the last 3 years, in the frame of this QualitEE project, E7 led a consortium of 12 partners around Europe. And this project aimed to promote responsible investment in energy efficiency services in the building sector, mainly by strengthening the confidence of customers and financial institutions in energy service providers. So the core was about building trust between the stakeholders, energy efficiency service providers, clients, financing institutions, and we tried to achieve this by standardizing quality criteria and institutionalizing the quality assurance process. Today, we will have a keynote speech from Lelde Akiela Willumson from DG Energy of the European Commission. We will then have an overview on the energy efficiency service markets across Europe, and an insight on where the opportunities to increase the uptake. And for both presentations, we will have the possibility, or you will have the possibility, to ask questions, and our experts will give the answers. I just show you how this works. So you see here in your question panel, which you should see as participant, you can type in your questions and the Q&A moderator will select and ask the questions then to the experts. We will do our best to cover as many questions as possible. If we shouldn't be able to answer all questions in the given time frame, we will try to respond to you then after the session. I also would like to really invite you to take the opportunity of these questions and answer sessions. And I also would like to invite you for the other sessions to come tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, once again at 10 o'clock Central European Time. The second session tomorrow will deal with the tools that we need to galvanize demand in energy efficiency services. It will be very much about the tools which we have developed and tested during the QualitEE project. And in the session 3 on Friday, once again at 10 o'clock Central European Time, we will give you an overview and an insight in quality assurance schemes that help us to build trust in energy efficiency services. So much for the introduction to today's session. I would now like to give the floor to Lelde. I would like to introduce her quickly. Lelde is a policy officer in DG Energy at the unit Energy Efficiency Policy and Finance. She is responsible for the implementation of the Energy Efficiency Directive, notably energy services and skills, and leads in the unit on energy efficiency policy development. She was in charge of the revision of the directive in 2016 as part of the Clean Energy Package, and coordinates now also the upcoming review of the Energy Efficiency Directive in the context of the European Green Deal. Lelde, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm happy that we also have very nice and sunny summer day, at least in Belgium. And I'm also happy to be invited to this very important event, which marks an end to a very important European project, while it marks a beginning for more professional qualitative energy efficiency services, thanks to the guidelines and the tools you have developed during the project phase for improving energy service markets for Europe in the years to come. And I have prepared indeed some slides which I will show you, and I will take some questions afterwards. So, do you see my slides?
Yes, we can see them.
Yes, good. So it's important to note, as Clemens already mentioned, that, and I'm happy to hear your questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lelde, for that interesting overview of the policy progress and the European Green Deal and so forth. So we've got now a chance for a question and answer session, so you can continue to put your questions in. We've got one from the floor here already, so I'm going to pose this one to you, Lelde. So in your opinion and from your observations, will the COVID recovery delay, will that delay the progress of the European Green Deal implementation, or do you think it will be an additional push?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think thanks to the recovery package the European Commission has put forward, it's important to really launch the Green Deal objectives and initiatives, and that would, in my view, be the push, starting with the very initiative on the renovation wave. This is quite important, and by having reinforced MFF and having reinforced financing and dedicated financial instruments, that would definitely help to recover economy faster. But of course, the recovery package has been put forward by the Commission and still needs to be approved by the Council and the Parliament.
Wonderful, thanks for that. Yeah, I guess another question that we've got here is, so from your sort of preliminary assessment of the national energy and climate plans, do you see any innovations or any progress in the way that member states are promoting energy efficiency services or energy performance contracts? Any insights you can share?
Yes, thanks. I think it's quite important, and we are currently analyzing all those plans. From the preliminary assessment we have, the information differs from one member state to another. Some member states put greater focus, greater detail on that. And what we also expect to see this information more included in detail in the long-term renovation strategies, which member states had to submit under the energy performance of buildings directives already in March. But we have received so far only 7 long-term renovation strategies. And we hope that when we have more strategies coming, that would also enrich our understanding how member states are aiming to use the energy performance contracting to address or to contribute to the renovation wave.
Excellent. Good. Well, I think we've got time for just one more question. So yeah, I've got a question from the floor, which is, will the recovery fund money be dispersed on a first come first served basis, or does the Commission intend to reserve parts of it for renovation?
It's a difficult question indeed. As I said, it first needs to be approved by the Council and the Parliament. So I cannot give you any definite answer, and I don't know these details. But definitely the idea is, as I stressed before, to really allocate a lot of money for renovation wave. How that will be done, it really still needs to be seen. But definitely with the renovation wave, with the action plan for renovation wave, that for sure there will be money available.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us this morning. And I can see that a whole load of extra questions have come in, but we've run out of time for those now. So we'll try and answer those. We'll send them to you separately. And see if
that would be great. Thank you very much. And indeed, if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to send them to me. I'll try to answer if I can. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Lelda. Excellent. So now we're going to proceed with the presentations as well. So I'm going to invite Diana Somolaniova, who's a senior consultant at Seven in the Czech Republic, and who's been the leader of our market research package under the QualitEE project. She's going to share some of our findings, I suppose, on the state of the market and where some of the opportunities are for increasing uptake. So over to you, Diana.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to present the research we have conducted at the beginning of the QualitEE project and then later in 2019 when we were updating the results, and to show you what's the current state of the markets and maybe how the situation could be improved. So we did this extensive research across 15 European energy efficiency service markets. I will show you quite a lot of graphs today, but you can find even more online on our website. You can see the address here. And you can also read the market research reports, which were written individually for each of these 15 countries, and summary European report, which is comparing and summarizing the results. Here you can see which countries were included in our research. There were quite a lot of big markets, also some small European markets. In 2017 and 2019, about 100 energy efficiency service providers answered our online survey, while about almost 80 energy efficiency service facilitators. We did also personal interviews, not only the online survey, in 13 countries, where we interviewed finance houses, governmental funds, and the clients. Yeah, this was a structured interview where we asked similar questions as in the online survey, so they could be compared. And we did these personal interviews only in 2017. The scope of these surveys was focused on 2 energy efficiency services. That was energy performance contracting, according to the definition by the Energy Efficiency Directive. I assume you all know this definition. But what we stressed to the respondents is that EPC provider guarantees the achievement of the contractual savings of energy and or related costs. And the definition of energy supply contracting was based on the IEA DSM task for definition, where it's defined that energy supply contracting means a contractual arrangement for the efficient supply of energy. So this was one of the most interesting graphs, where you can see how the respondents, which were in this case providers and facilitators, see the growth of the EPC markets in 2019. These results aggregated for all 15 countries in the survey. So you can see that a majority of respondents, 57%, reported growth, and 41% reported slight growth. Here you can see how it compares with the results from 2017 and 2015. We used here the results from the Transparency Project survey in 2015, and it's not changing much. It's very similar over these years, and in 2019 we came back to the answers from 2015. So it looks like it's pretty stable in the last years, how the EPC market is growing, and it's a slight growth. The situation varied across the countries in the survey. The dark green is the major growth, the light green is the slight growth, and then you see the slight decline as the light orange, and dark orange is the major decline. So you can see how it differs among the countries. Yeah. Only Austria is the country where the decline was reported by majority of the respondents, while the highest growth was reported in France, Slovenia, Netherlands, Belgium, UK, Slovakia. We also asked our respondents, in this case it was providers and facilitators, who are the typical clients for EPC projects. The dark blue shows the public clients, and the light blue shows the private clients. I just would like, please note that the respondents could choose multiple answers. That's why it doesn't sum up to 100%. And you can see that 65% of the respondents have the municipalities as their typical clients. And in summary, the public, we can say that the public clients are driving the EPC market across these 15 countries. We also asked what's the most common investment outlay for EPCs, and the providers and facilitators reported that 43% of them reported that it's the most common investment outlay is up to €500,000, and 19% reported that it's between €500,000 and €1 million. That means that most of the respondents have mostly projects up to €1 million. From €1 million to €5 million is about 32%, 1/3. On this graph, you can see which model is prevailing in the EPC market. And when we see the aggregated numbers, 58% of the respondents use solely guaranteed savings model. 29% of respondents use both guaranteed savings model and shared savings model, and only 13% use solely shared savings. And you can again see that the situation varies among the countries. There are countries which where all the providers and facilitators are involved in the projects with guaranteed savings, but there are also a few countries where the shared savings is much more used. The countries where the guaranteed savings are dominating is Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Latvia, Slovakia, and the UK, where all the providers are using guaranteed savings, and some of them are using also both models. On this graph, you can see what's the typical duration of EPC contract. It's 5 to 10 years. When we aggregate the results for all the countries, 50% of respondents answered that it's 5 to 10 years, while 17% reported it was less than 5 years, and 6% reported it's 26% reported it's 11 to 15 years, and only 6% reported it's more than 15 years. Again, the situation varies widely among the countries. You can see that the shorter projects are prevailing in Bulgaria, France, Portugal, while in Slovenia and Netherlands, there are much longer durations of the projects. What was very important in our research was to identify the most significant barriers to EPC business. And it was revealed by the providers and facilitators that the most significant barrier is the complexity of the concept of EPC and lack of information. It was selected by 55% of the respondents. While then it's followed by lack of trust in the ESCO industry and administration barriers and high cost of development and procurement. You can see the blue line is the 2019 results, and the green line is 2017 results, and it doesn't, it's very similar, just in 2017 more respondents stress lack of trust in the ESCO industry. What are the key drivers of EPC business identified by providers and facilitators? It's clearly energy savings guarantee, which was almost 70% of the respondents selected this as the key driver in 2019. This is followed by increasing energy prices and pressure to reduce the costs. We were interested in the research, what are the EPC quality determinants, because we wanted to look into how the quality of the projects could be increased. And when we asked the providers and facilitators in 2017, it was the preliminary technical economical analysis and energy audit, which was the key quality determinant. Also, with 63% of respondents mentioning this as a key quality determinant. It's followed by the measurement and verification and achieving the energy savings. We also asked in which areas the quality improvement is needed, and the answer was quite balanced. In all areas, the quality improvement is needed, and this was important information for our project. I would like to also mention and show a few graphs for energy supply contracting markets. They also, according to respondents, they grew slightly in 2019. Over 40% selected slight growth and about 17% major growth. Most important barriers to energy supply contracting business revealed by providers and facilitators were again complexity of the concept, lack of information, lack of trust in the ESCO industry. And the key drivers were increasing energy prices and pressure to reduce the costs. We were also interested in what makes energy supply contracting project of high quality, and the providers and facilitators responded that it's again preliminary technical economical analysis and energy audit. So it's the same. This is a top quality determinant, the same as for the EPC projects, and it's followed by the implementation of technical measures and operation and maintenance. The result is different here when we ask which areas need quality improvement. there is a little bit more preference for the area of preliminary technical economic analysis, so for the key quality determinant here. We were looking a bit more in the barrier lack of trust in EPC and ESC providers, and it was highly reported, especially by the providers and facilitators, where 40% mentioned lack of trust in providers in a majority of cases, and about 1/3 of the providers mentioned that it's true in about half of all cases. Interestingly, the clients here are showing much more trust in the providers, but when we were looking into the results, we thought this might be because we interviewed already the clients who we worked with during the EPC projects and who might have already good experiences. This doesn't include mostly potential clients, so that's why there's a difference. You can see this lack of trust differs among the countries. Where it's the lowest is the Portugal, Bulgaria, Greece, and Spain, Belgium, Latvia, and where the highest is Netherlands, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and France. We were also looking into these questions because we thought the role of quality project was to increase the trust and quality. The aim of the quality project was to increase the investments via energy efficiency services, and our hypothesis that there is lack of trust and increase in trust would help potentially to implement more projects is supported by the results, and that's why you will hear later about, or tomorrow in the next 2 days, about other results of the quality project, where the quality criteria for the project were defined and quality assurance schemes were developed. And because we wanted to develop these quality assurance schemes, we asked how these should be designed. We asked the respondents. So I show you a few graphs on that. First, we wanted to see what the respondents see as added value of quality assurance scheme. And it's really that the providers and facilitators expect the customer trust would be increased. 82% of the providers and facilitators has these hopes, and 46% expect that the quality of the project would really increase. So it looks like the expectation is more on the side of the customer trust. And when we look what the clients answered, they actually expect that quality of the project would be increased. Seems to be the most important for them. So there's a little bit discrepancy here. We also ask what are the expected drawbacks and barriers of quality assurance schemes, and the providers and facilitators answer that it would be additional cost of assurance scheme. So we can see here it's important to keep the costs of the assurance scheme low because it's important for the market, and also there will be additional cost to fulfill the quality requirements. We were checking whether if the project goes through the quality assurance, whether this would have impact on the clients and financial institutions, whether they would prefer these projects. And you can see that almost 60% of the clients and about 55% of financial institutions would prefer such a project. When it comes to providers and facilitators, it's a bit lower, as it's probably more cost and more work for them to go through the quality assurance scheme. who would be the best institution to issue a label or certificate? The respondents agreed that it would be governmental and public institution. Interestingly, the clients see that it could be governmental or public institution as well as association of providers. It seems to be they have higher trust in association of providers than the providers themselves. So this is interesting result. And we ask who should pay for the quality assurance. And because we ask providers and facilitators, it's not a surprise that the client should pay, not the providers or facilitators. Over 50% of providers and facilitators ask for it should be clients. The variable fee should be up to 1% of the project value. This was preferred by almost 60% of the providers and facilitators. So here I would like to summarize the results. On the quality assurance system, we derived some recommendations for the following actions within the quality project. So one of the important results was the most important quality determinant for these two services is preliminary technical economic analysis and energy audit, followed by achieving savings. Need for quality improvements is reported in all areas. This is also important. That quality assurance systems really are expected to bring increased interest, while the lack of trust is highly reported. So this can really address one of the top barriers. We also got confirmed that providers who obtain quality assurance would probably gain a competitive advantage on the market, as the clients and financial institutions would prefer such projects who got quality assurance. And when we ask about the costs of the quality assurance system, it was reported as the expected main drawback. So the cost should be limited as low as possible, also so they don't create a market barrier, and providers and facilitators prefer the clients to pay. And governmental or public institutions are clearly the most respected bodies to issue the quality label or certificate. So we expect that high quality of energy efficiency services will lead to higher demand and thus increase in energy efficiency investments. This will for sure contribute to the European Union goal to be climate neutral. And today already mentioned the Green Deal and the strategies, recovery strategy. What we would like to also stress here that the high quality energy efficiency services also meet the requirements of the government's economic recovery packages that are currently being implemented or considered across the European countries, because they provide both economic stimulus and lower unemployment, as the service energy efficiency services are labor intensive and cannot be relocated. This is not just our opinion, but also other research institutions and organizations like IEA support this idea. So thank you for your attention, and I would be happy to answer any question if you have.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jana, for that overview of the service market, energy efficiency services market. So I guess this is your chance now to ask questions of, so I'm just going to show my screen here. This is your chance. Oh, sorry, everyone. Excellent. So this is your chance now to ask questions of the experts that have led market research in these 15 European countries. We've got them all on the line, so feel free to ask questions in the question and answer panel, and I'll try and get through as many of them as I possibly can. I'm going to start off with a question for Jaroslav Marusek, who's the chairman at Seven and the Energy Efficiency Centre in Prague, in the Czech Republic, and I'm just going to delve into some of the results there. In the survey, I guess most countries report that obtaining viable finance is very difficult, but in the Czech Republic, most respondents indicated that this was easy. Why do you think this might be? What's have you done better there?
It's a matter of long-term development. Yeah, sorry, you cannot see me because on my computer I haven't any camera, but I'm sure you are not losing anything valuable. So sorry for that. And my answer now. So I think that it's a matter of chance that from very beginning we have one or two very capable ESCOs who persuaded banks or financial institutions that transfer of the sale of investment, or sorry, the sale of receivables is the way which bring no risk for banks, for financial companies, and they tried some, let's say, 15 years ago, and since that time we have no problem with financing of energy performance contracting. So we tried in some other countries also repeat this scheme, but it was not that easy. Frankly speaking, I do not understand why this is the problem for financing companies to provide this way of support for ESCOs. But in Czech Republic, it simply succeeded quite quickly during 2-3 years. Most of companies decided to follow this example of one pilot company, and since then we have no problem with financing. And another reason why maybe that Czech banks were during privatization period some 20 years ago were restructured, and during the economic drop down 10 years ago, Czech Republic was one of the countries which had no problem with banks. So that's why we have continuous development the last 15 years, and as a result we have really no problem with financing.
Wonderful. Excellent. Good to hear your insights there, Jaroslav. So I'm just going to move to a question from the floor, actually. Quite an interesting point. So I guess that reviewing the sort of lack of trust issue, there's a couple of countries that that showed fairly high trust, I suppose, on that question. One of them being France. So, Eline Blanchard from IFES, I was wondering if I could pose that question to you, which is, do you think there's any sort of specific practices in France that have been used that mean that lack of trust is less of an issue there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can't see
okay.
you yet.
Oh yeah, true. I don't have my webcam, but you don't miss anything anyway too. So yeah, so in France, basically the market is quite well developed, and there are the energy efficiency services as well as EPCs are well considered. I don't know the details exactly, but they are definitely considered by the government in many policies. So I think that if there is one market in the European Union where EPCs and ES are known, it's maybe in France, and so this can explain also why the lack of trust is less of an issue, because EPCs have been around for a long time. So, but I don't know in details if there is one specific thing.
So maturity of the market has certainly helped in that case.
Exactly. Yes.
Good. Thanks very much, Aline. So I'm just going to come on to a couple of other questions. So I'd like to bring in Stefan Schulze-Sturm, from who's the head of the Brussels office at ARCEF. And ARCEF are the German Association of Municipal Utilities. So I guess in Germany, what we notice is the survey results suggest that lack of trust is less of an issue and finance is less of an issue, but sort of lack of demand and low information are key barriers. Why do you think this is, and what do you think can be done to improve the situation?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone can hear me. Indeed, the lack of trust is for us not a big problem. What we figured out in the German market is more the lack of demand. This has led to the fact that energy has been considered, the energy prices is pretty cheap, so there's not really a need. Many clients said that there's not a need to invest money in implementing energy measures. So I think Jana showed also in the presentation before that in other countries where there's an increase of the energy prices, this is definitely also a driver. So we would need this in Germany. Other problems is that when I'm looking especially to the EPC market, what we did during our market research is that the energy providers are very risk averse in Germany. So our organization works with 300 energy providers, and they are not very keen to give guarantees, etc. So I think there needs a push also on this side. We will try this now. Also, the QualitEE project helps a lot, that we can maybe work with them a bit to improve their energy services in a better qualitative way, that they're also more open to give this quality assurance, etc. And also from the governmental side, we need a bigger support. So the DENA, the German Energy Agency, starts soon a funding program for the EPC market. And I hope this will also lead to the fact that the German market will increase a bit.
Excellent. Great, thanks for your insights there, Stefan. Yeah, I'd like to, if I can just get my question panel back. We've got another question from the floor that I thought was quite interesting as well. And I'd like to direct this actually at Agris Kamanders from Ecodoma in Latvia. And I guess the question from the floor was, are there any countries that have done a good job in engaging the residential sector? And I guess I've noticed in the results that in Latvia, there's quite a lot of projects, or the projects are in the residential sector. So do you think anything has been done particularly there to engage the residential sector, and anything we can learn from that?
Yes, good morning. I mean, from all the projects in Latvia, there is not too many ESCO projects as such, but and we could say that there is in the lighting sector and in residential sector. It just happened somehow historically that the first ESCOs which came in, they focus on the residential sector, as they see that there is a big energy efficiency potential as such. The residential sector needs the deep renovation, and they see that the ESCO model could bring benefits to the residents, and as well there is a number of projects in the future. At the moment, it's still only developing. As you compare, if you would compare I would say the standard process of the renovation and the number of the ESCO projects. But yes, we have interesting projects, and still already for some 10 years, I would say, in the residential sector. And yeah.
Good.
Even less, much less projects in the municipal sector, which is interesting if you compare with the other countries.
Yeah, very much so. Thanks for that insight, Agris. Yeah, I'm now going to move to Marcel Laukov from who's the managing director at the Energy Centre in Bratislava. So I guess in Slovakia, survey respondents ranked sort of subsidy and policy uncertainty as the main barrier to energy performance contracting business. It's much higher than other countries in the survey. Do you have any thoughts on why this might be and how we can learn from that?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So as regards the subsidies or policy measures, they considered as a big barrier for EPC consists maybe in the way how the grants and subsidies have been used in Slovakia for previous budgeting period. There was a really high grant intensity in the subsidies. So this was about 95% in areas of modernization of buildings or street lighting systems. And this financing is quite attractive for potential public clients. And they avoid any repayable ways of financing. It resulted in status that between years 2006 and 2012 there were no EPCs in public sector in Slovakia. It restarted afterwards, but still the grants with high intensity are big competition to any repayable way of financing, because even there is not enough money for all projects, energy efficiency project in the subsidy schemes. Even the only chance that the resources will be available, it is big temptation for a public client to wait for the money and use this quite cheap or so-called cheap way of financing.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks very much for your insight there, Marcel. I think we've actually run out of time now. Unfortunately, there's a couple of other questions that we've received. We'll try and get back to those, and I'd like to thank all of the experts there for sharing their views. So just as a sort of wrap up before we end up the session, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of our speakers today, Lelda and Jana and Clemens, and to all of the experts that have provided answers as well. And to all of you for joining us as well and participating in this conference. Just so you know, the presentations and recordings will be sent in follow-up emails, and they'll be available on our website as well. And not to forget as well that we've got 2 more sessions coming up. Tomorrow we'll be diving into the tools that we've developed and some of the pilot projects that we've done across Europe. So 28 pilot projects in 11 countries, so some very exciting work done there. And on Friday we're going to be looking at the quality assurance scheme, so how we've approached that in these 11 different countries and the various approaches that have been taken. So we've got a presentation about that, a chance to ask the experts about how that's come through as well. So links to both of those presentations, to those webinars, are in the chat panel. So don't hesitate to go and click on those and get registered up. And we hope to see you tomorrow. So thanks very much, and have a wonderful rest of your morning.